Health Today is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance Insurance, agent represented by BGI Insurance Limited.
On this week's Health Today, Dr. Renata Jagaru speaks about healthy lunches and snacks for students.
A lunch bag basically should consist of one lunch, one main meal, 2 sets of snacks, lots of fluid, and if they're going to do, for the older kids, if they're going to do an extracurricular activity, especially if it's a physical one, something to get them through that as well. So bearing in mind that you have all of that to prepare, ideally it should be done the night before if you can. Okay. Examples of a lunch bag at school, a lunch break at school, which is basically a meal. Some of the schools provide school meals, and these are pretty good. They're nutritional, and they are financially affordable. And of course, they're free in other schools, in the government schools. So I would definitely recommend them. Now, the reality is some kids don't like the school meals, or some parents prefer that they don't have the school meals, in which case then a packed lunch would be important. Now, every child is different, and I have kids in here that actually like a hot meal for their lunch bag, and that could be anything from what's left over from the night before or the dinner before, which could be rice. Pasta is always a big hit. I even have some kids that would quite happily eat a little bit of ground provisions with some sort of meat or sauce, especially with the pasta. Put in a thermos and packed in the lunch bag. It's easy. Kids like it, and they will often take it. There are, of course, majority of kids, especially school age, would prefer a sandwich. Okay, and sandwiches can be healthy. They're not necessarily as bad as people make them out to be. Ham and cheese, or ham on its own, cheese on its own. Peanut butter is allowed in certain schools, but not others. So if it's allowed in the school, definitely peanut butter sandwiches are easy and kids like them. Some kids will even have wraps with cheese in them. I'm not that keen on the processed meat, so although you're probably thinking hot dogs and chicken nuggets, they're not the best. And honestly, they should be avoided as much as possible. Once a week as a treat, yes, but other than that, really and truly, the nutritional content of those things are not the best. Other things that we often beg you to avoid are the snacks such as the corn curls and the chewy sweets and the Pringles chips and those things, which are often full of a lot of preservatives and dyes. You can definitely give snacks which are quite healthy. Fruit, if possible, is a good snack. Grapes and bananas are usually the only two ones that seem to be tolerated by kids because they're the only things that would stay fresh in the lunchbox. Most kids will not eat any more in terms of fruits at school for the rest at school because of the way the fruits become as the day goes on. Apples can be okay if they're nice and firm, like the firm gala apples are often a bit of hit if you cut them up for them into little, the quarters. But again, it depends on the child, and some kids will eat apples, others won't. I do recommend that a child should have at least 3 to 4 servings of fruit a day, because that is the recommendation. Adults is 5, we are 3. And a serving of fruit, or should I say vegetable, is, for example, 1 banana is a serving. A handful of grapes is another serving. If you put vegetables or tomatoes in the tomato paste or tomato sauce in their spaghetti, that's another serving. So if you can get in 3 to 5 of those every day, you're on the mark. Okay. Other things that you can put as snacks are yogurts, crackers, healthy chips. It doesn't have to be Pringles and corn curls and those kind of things. You can put in the plantain chips, the cassava chips. Now we've got lentil chips. I think they've even got rice cakes now that are made with various flavors. So some of those things can be put in the lunchbox. Cheese strings are a favorite, and they're healthy. There's a lot of protein, and there's dairy, and there's milk in cheese, which is good in terms of calcium content. So that's a healthy snack as well. Now, often when we say fruit, some parents think, okay, well, they won't eat fresh fruit, so let me put in the Welch's fruits or those chewable fruit things. Just bearing in mind that they are full of sugar. That's one. They're also not recommended by our dentists because they often get into the teeth and stay there all day, and of course erode the teeth because of the high sugar content. So although they're good as a little treat, they're not really supposed to replace a serving of fruit. Okay. Drinks. Water. Biggest thing if possible. Now, most parents would say to me, I will send a 12-ounce flask of water and it will come back, and he would have drunk maybe 2 of the 12 ounces and 10 ounces are left. Water we know is important, and ideally a child who's been out all day at school should be drinking water throughout the day. If they will not drink the water, then there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of a cordial in it. We can get them at the supermarket. You only need like a small amount in a flask of water, and that changes the flavor of it, makes it a little bit more appealing, and they will drink that. Mobby is not an alternative to water. It is full of sugar and puts on excessive weight. Nor the juices. One Tetra Pak of juice per day is about as much as a child should be drinking. It's full of sugar, even though they may say no added sugar, there is natural sugar in those juices. And again, they put on excessive weight, as well as erode their teeth, because it's not just the sugar in the juice, but it's the acid content of the juice as well that we are concerned about. So 1 Tetra Pak in the lunchbox and a nice flask of water, and hopefully nothing comes back. Now, as I said, if you have a child that is doing an extracurricular physical activity like football or gymnastics or swimming or tennis or any of those active sports, and it's usually done after school before they go home, then if you do need to send something a little extra for them to eat, usually on their way to the sport or just straight after school. Some parents send the Pediasure Sidekicks, and they're an excellent source of nutrition as well as energy, so I'm all for that. Other things that you can do are granola bars. They do give instant energy. If you're one of those parents that has a few minutes to pick them up from school and take them to their extracurricular activity, then a smoothie is a good source of getting that fruit in as well as the energy.